What's up everyone, Enrique here with another video, and this time we're going to be talking about the Digitakt and how to do the resample method. So let's get into it. Alright, so a quick history lesson on what the resample method actually is. If you're familiar with beats by either Doom or Madlib or DiBiase, some of these legends in the beat scene world, you've probably heard this sound. The reason they use the resample method so much is because they're using something like this: a Roland SP404, a 303, a 202, anything similar to that nature, because they have their limitations in how they can sample and record, as well as their sequencers were always subpar. Not a lot of people like them, including myself. So the idea behind it is that you're resampling the entire output of the machine back onto itself. And because you have limitations, for example on the SP you can only play 2 pads at once, when you resample you may only be playing 2 hi-hats first, and then you resample the 2 hi-hats you just played with a kick drum, and then you resample the kick drum and the hi-hats on that one pad again on itself, but this time with the bass line or a sample. But because you're layering and layering and layering yourself playing the beat back, you get this perfect gritty unquantized loop that a lot of people have come to love. So with that, I want to take that method and apply it to the Digitakt and see what we can come up with. So one of my favorite reasons for doing this is because it kind of helps me stay creative as well as keep moving, because once you've recorded something it's really hard to go back unless you want to take up 2 pads and kind of have a undo pad, if you will, and then the current pad that you're working on. With all this aside, again, this is completely unquantized. Everything that you hear is played in live, which is also really cool. And yeah, let's just get into this. Also, quick side note, for those of you guys who want everything to be perfectly on, this is definitely not for you. So first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to bank 16, pattern 13, and this is one of my drum kits called D hit 2. And what I want to do here is basically hit function and copy this pattern onto a blank section. So now that I've copied this, I'm going to go to bank 15, pattern 1, and hit paste. Now that I've pasted all the sounds, I'm going to hit function and clear, so I can clear the sequence data but still keep all the sound information in here. And if you haven't figured out how I use bank 16 to make drum kits, I'm going to leave a link to that up here that you guys can check out. It's a pretty quick and easy way to kind of get the ball rolling when it comes to using the Digitakt. So now that we have our sounds copied, let's go ahead and resample ourselves playing one of the pads. I like this sound more than this sound, and here's another quick tip. I'm going to take this sound, right, go to the source, copy it, and then go to this sound, source, paste. So now I have 2 versions of the same sound. Why the heck would I want to do that? Because I can then pitch one down a little bit and lower the level of it. So now I have, maybe I want a little less. Almost adds like a little bit of a swing, but mainly with the velocity. So next up, I'm going to go to my sample page, make sure that my source is set to internal left and right, which is the G. Also, your threshold could be pretty much anywhere. I'm usually in the 10 to 14 range, so we'll leave it at 10. And then I'm going to hit yes to arm it, and as soon as I start playing, it'll start recording. One thing you'll note is that I'm going to play this pattern in a little fast, and I'll explain why later. So let's go ahead and do this. Done. So hit yes to save it. I'm going to call it whatever the heck, and I'm going to go ahead and save it onto pad 7. Done. So now it's on pad 7. Let's play that back. So now I'm going to move on to the kick drum, which is number 1. Again, go to your record page, hit function no to discard that previous recording. It'll still stay here, don't worry. And now what we're going to do is basically exactly what we did before, but playing the kick drum on top of this. So since I'm better with my right hand, I'm going to go ahead and hold this down and play the kick drum. So it's armed. I hit yes. As soon as I play this, it'll start playing in. Cool. Cool. Yes. Save it onto pad 7. So we just lost our hi-hat pattern, but now it's a hi-hat with a kick pattern. You can see it's a little quiet. You can go ahead and turn up the source level as well as the level of your overall track. And that'll bring it to basically the level that you hear it at. So now let's find our snare drum. This one I'm going to go ahead and tune it a little bit. Shape it up a little more. Maybe give it a little reverb. Okay, cool. So this is the hi-hat we used before. I'm going to take our snare, copy it, go to our hi-hat that we had, and paste it there and give myself a new velocity or volume. That's cool. I'm down with that. And this one doesn't have any of the reverb on it. So let's add delay to this one. That's a little too much. That's kind of cool. So again, pad 7 has our original one. We'll go back to our sample, function no on our sample page, and then wait for that to go away so it doesn't start recording. Hit yes. As soon as I press this, it'll be the kick and the hi-hat without the snare. So now let's add the snare. Cool. Yes. 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 7. Bam. So now we are at this point where we have a kick, snare, and a hi-hat on pad 7, and we cannot go back. You see how crazy this method is? You're so destructive with what you're making, and it just forces you to keep moving forward. So now we've lost our original pattern, we've lost the one with just the kick, and we're forced to have the one with just the snare. Let's go ahead and find a melodic part. Let's see. Actually, this breather is kind of cool. Let's do that instead. Cool. So that's now assigned there. Go here, disarm that. I'm going to go to chromatic. So this is where it might get a little tricky because you want to play these notes, right, while you play pad 7. But pad 7 is now in chromatic mode, so we can't reach that. So what do? The easiest way that I've found, there may be another easier way, and if there is, leave it in the comments below because I want to know. It may have to do something with the pre-roll, but I like this method a lot. Go ahead and turn your BPM as low as it can go. Get out of chromatic, find track 7, which has that initial hit on it, and just put one at the very beginning of the sequence. And then also let this have 64 steps, so function and page, and make sure that it's set to 64 per pattern, not per track, per pattern. That way it holds the whole thing out the entire time. Hit yes. And then on top of that, make sure you're in track 7 still. You go to the amp page and set your decay to infinite. That way once it hits, it's going to play the entire loop through. So you may see where I'm going with this. Now I'm going to go to track 8, go to chromatic mode, and when I press play here, it's essentially pressing pad 7 for me. And you can see that it's going to play the entire thing through because we will not run out of any time because the tempo is set so low. So hit stop, stop, stop. So again, bam, chromatic. So we have yeah, I'm down with this. All right, cool. Yes to arm. As soon as I press play, it's going to start playing pad 7, and now I got to play this guy. So done. Yes, 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 sir. And let's be adventurous and save it over pad 7, which is our original one. Go out of chromatic, track 7, stop it, and play it. Okay, cool. So we got this, right? How can we make this usable? The way I find to make this usable is you can just hit record, have a step down in the sequence, set this back to 16, and then when you press play, try to find the sweet spot of whatever tempo you just played that at. But if you want to be a boss hog, go to your source page and tune it down, which is essentially stretching the track and making it thicker. and more gritty, which is what I love to do. And that's why I recorded the initial tempo faster than what I wanted it to be. So check this out. Pressing pad 7. Let's go down to 4. All right, maybe that's a little too slow. There we go. We'll go to 3. That's good enough for me. All right, cool. So now we have that there. It's tuned to 3. Our amp envelope's held to infinite. If I press play, you'll see the sequence going, taking forever, and it's going to start randomly. So that's where we need to align it perfectly to a bar. So let's try 80. Okay, a little too fast, the song, so we'll speed this up. Almost. There it is. We can even go a little more with the arrows. Maybe a little less. So now let's try fine-tune the 32 steps. So play, tempo. So now it seems like we might be going a little too fast. I'm going to drop it down to 84.9. Let's see how this works. Okay, it's still a little fast. Let's go down to just 84. Stop, play. This one looks pretty good. There it is. Bam. Okay, so why am I doing this, right? What's the point? How can I still add on to this and continue having fun with it and not make it sound boring or dumb or whatever? Why am I even going to do this, right? It's because this is a different approach of making music, and honestly, I really enjoy this way, again, because it's so destructive and just forces you to think. But there's other ways you can really spice this thing up. You know, you can do parameter locks on things, you can do weird filter changes and trigless trigs, because you have the entire beat still playing even though the pad is just on the very first step. You have all these steps to then add trigless trigs, parameter lock different settings to the beat itself. Another fun way to add to this is, for example, you take this sound and play this normally as you would on the Digitakt and have that play in the background. So this allows you, again, to just get kind of weird and sloppy. This is going to be like perfectly quantized, if you will, and that won't, to kind of help meld it together. So let me just turn this little green thing off. Let's try putting this in chromatic and pressing play and kind of playing along with it and see what we come up with. Cool, so we can even just try that. So record play, let it come back around, and here we go. Hear how off that is? Let's quantize that. Me, Mr. No Quantize, wants to quantize. Filter that down. Throw a little 1.08 on there. Now we got this pattern, right? Let's go ahead and function copy that. Go to pattern 2. Paste that there. Let's take track 7 and then put it in high pass mode. Maybe do a weird, slow kind of evolving. Then we still got pattern 1. Again, we got that copied still. Pattern 3. raise that up real quick. Ooh, let's give that a shot, right? Let's change this one up to 64 bars. And let's go to our filter page for track 7 and lower this. So let's try this right here. And let LFO to the filter cutoff. Where is it at? There it is. Filter decay time, wrong. There we go. Let's go negative with that one. Turn the resonance down so it's not blowing our ears out. Insane mode. That's pretty cool right there. So now we got a couple different patterns, right? Oh, I completely forgot. So pattern 3, let's go record arm on track 7 and take the second hit off. And let's see how this lines up with the tempo that we're currently at. If we did it right, it should line up perfectly. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Here comes that high pitch note. Yeah. All right, cool. Now we're back onto the first pattern. Pattern 2. Pattern 3. Pattern 1. It's going to play the whole way through. There it is. Cool, so I want to hear what you guys make up with the resample method on the Digitakt. Give it a go, let me know what you think. Post your links to your SoundCloud down in the comments below. I'd love to check out some of your music. You guys always keep me inspired. If you guys really like this video, I'd appreciate the thumbs up. If you hated this video with all of your heart and every cell of your being, please give me a thumbs down and let me know how I can make these videos better for you to enjoy. But with all that being said, you can always follow me on my Instagram where I post a bunch of other videos in here with a bunch of other gear that I got. So hit me up on my Instagram if there's something that you see that I'm using that you want to see a video on. I'll talk to you guys soon. Again, thank you all for watching. As always, you guys know the drill. And that's to share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.